My dear friends, I'm speaking to you today because of the current situation afflicting our country. With COVID-19 as the backdrop, we have seen in the past week the tragic death of George Floyd at the hands of a police officer who was sworn to protect and serve. This horrible action, which was so grotesquely caught on video, has been followed by day after day of peaceful protest and night after night of rioting and looting. In short, our country is bleeding. It is bleeding in Minneapolis, in New York, in Los Angeles, in our nation's capital, and even here in our own metro area of Atlanta. This country is bleeding from sea to shining sea. In the response to the brutal actions of last week, we have seen more and more escalation with riots, looting, and vandalism. Some of this stems from anger, and some stems from misguided individuals who are looking to cause trouble. Either way, we must not condone these actions. At the same time, though, we must speak out against racism and excessive force by law enforcement that has led to injuries inflicted on and the deaths of so many members of the Black community. We must also stand up against the utilization by police and military of tear gas, rubber bullets, and other violent means used to disperse peaceful demonstrations. As Dr. King taught, the ultimate weakness of violence is that it is a descending spiral begetting the very thing it seeks to destroy. Instead of diminishing evil, it multiplies it. Through violence, you may murder the liar, but you cannot murder the lie, nor establish the truth. Through violence, you may murder the hater, but you do not murder hate. In fact, violence merely increases hate. Returning violence for violence multiplies violence, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. When violence is used, it will only lead to more violence. And yet there is a systemic problem in our nation that leads to entire communities feeling marginalized, feeling mistrustful of police, and in the wake of this tragedy, feeling that there is no other option but to take the streets in protests. The First Amendment of protesting injustice is one of the things that has made this country special since that day more than 240 years ago when tea was thrown into Boston Harbor. This nation is bleeding, and it will take all of us working together to heal our country's old wounds. Our tradition says, tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue. We are commanded as Jews to stand up and speak out against the injustice of racism, of hatred, of violence, and of inequality. We are taught that each one of us is created b'tselem Elohim, in the divine image, and as such, we need to make sure that all human beings are given the same rights, the same dignity, and the same love. In our community, we are blessed to have a police department led by individuals committed to tolerance and community outreach. But we need to continue to encourage community conversations so that mutual trust can be built between law enforcement and the entire community. Peaceful protest, along with dialogue and discussion, are what will bring healing to our community, to our state, and to our nation. For only when we confront this scourge and work together to combat and dismantle systemic racism will we finally stop bearing witness to this plague that has continued to affect the United States of America. May the leaders of our community, of our cities, our state, and our nation be blessed with the wisdom and compassion to help bring about this much-needed change in a compassionate and peaceful way. May we all have the courage to open up to each other, to speak out against the evil of racism, and to work together to bring healing and love now. Amen.